May I please welcome our moderator, Mr. Sharad Nagpal, Senior Director, Head Retail Consulting and International Business Development, India, JLL. A round of applause as we are joined by our speakers from across the globe. We have Mr. Pierre, Ravan, founder, Eternal Journey Luxury Perfumes from France. I'd also like to welcome Mr. Andrew McVicker, Director, PRAGMA, London. May I also welcome Mr. Runish Katkar, CEO, Bedfast, California. Let's hear a warm round of applause for all our panelists joining us on stage and showcasing to us a very, very global perspective. Our next segment on global players eyeing and entering India's private marketplace right here. May I extend a very warm welcome to all our speakers. And once again, a humble request to all our guests networking. If you could please take a seat and we'll be happy to take this discussion forward. Thank you. All yours, gentlemen.
Thank you. I know we are already running behind schedule. So in the interest of time, let me straight jump in. And thanks, Mappic, for the introduction of the panelists. Pierre, if I can start with you all. We are in a country where every 200 kilometers, there's a cultural change. There is a language change. People's eating habits change. The way they think and the way their lifestyles are, that changes. So you have a very diverse background. You are an entrepreneur. You have a luxury retail brand of your own. You are a spiritual guru. And you are an internationally acclaimed DJ. I don't think anybody can have such a diverse and vibrant background such as yours. So to start off and just set the tone, as an Indian market for international retailers, how do you see it from your lens? What are the key things which are necessary for a newer entrant into the market, which is as diverse and complex as India?
Thank you very much. Hello to everyone. I hope everybody is still buzzing for the previous session. For the one that you're here, pranams, assalamu alaikum, bonjour, welcome to all. Thank you, Kjær, for this beautiful question. First, but before starting that, I would like to explain what means a luxury. Because for me, what I'm concerned about, I can see in India, you don't have so many luxury brands.
Yeah.
Most of the brands you can see, including the brands that are here, maybe you can call them a premium brands.
Yeah.
But I would like to first define what luxury means and where was the segment of luxury that for me was important. You see, for me, premium has a price. There is a price maximum, you can make a profit on it.
Sure.
But for me, luxury has no price. That's why in the industry that I am, especially in the perfume that I created, for me, it took me a long time to find the right partners because I needed to find the partners they not only value, they will understand what luxury means. And not only that, for me, India had these two aspects, the luxury side and also the spiritual side.
Right.
And I realized that maybe even for India, which is the most spiritual country in the world, the concept of spirituality is lost.
Correct.
That's why what I try to do with my brand, which the name is Eternal Journey, to bring the attention to people to say, but what is the connection between luxury and spirituality? And simple, I wanted to explain that the same way that for luxuries there is no price to pay. How much would you
Sure.
pay? And the same way that is timeless. There is no limit, is eternal.
Right.
The same way spirituality is eternal, and the same way the name of my brand is Eternal Journey. And it took me a while, finally, we entered into the Indian market very slowly, but I can see it has a beautiful consumer who will appreciate and want to be different. And that's where I tap into the market.
No, absolutely. And, just to add to what you just mentioned, luxury in India is still niche. However, if you see in the last decade or so, luxury is one of the fastest growing segments because obviously the base was so low in India. We are in a city which saw India's another purely luxury mall in Geo World Plaza getting launched last year. But the way the story is changing is that more and more micro markets within larger metro cities and even emerging cities, Your yesterday's bridge to luxury brands, they are now willing to coexist in a premium grade A shopping center along with other premium brands. That was happening earlier in markets like Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore. Now you go to a tier 2 city, which could be a state capital with a humongous population base, right? There you will see now brands entering those markets and coexisting, willing to coexist rather, which was a very, very big deterrent for them earlier, willing to coexist with other premium brands within the same shopping center. Quest Mall in Calcutta is a great example, right? It's a very, very premium luxury shopping center, and they just keep upping their game every few years. So that's how luxury has been, in India. And just very quickly, another thread before I move to Ronesh, is that most luxury retailers, when they entered India, and that's how the FDI norms were at that time, they entered with an Indian partner. They did not enter on their own. So whether they had an active partner or the way of entry was mostly a master licensing or a master franchisee. And over a period of time, some have entered into a JV with their Indian partner. And after single brand retailing opened, few of them have now started to look to enter on their own. Right? You heard, the head of Beverly Hills Polo Club also in the previous panel. So they also, have changed partners and they've entered India with an Indian partner. So I think India is a very complex market. You need to have the right relationships and right network because real estate is still scarce. And that is where the Indian partner, comes in, not only from a purely equity point of view, but really, really from a market know-how point of view and what works in this market. Because you just can't bring and import and just put it up for sale here. I mean, it's a more complex market than that. With that, Ronesh, I would like to get you into the conversation. You own a very exciting brand in Batfast. You're a sports technology provider to a lot of entertainment houses. You're present, if I'm not wrong, in 14 countries already, right? And you're looking to enter India. What have been your learnings and whatever that you have learned about India until now, what do you see in the opportunity like from your lens?
Yeah, thank you for that, Sharad, and thank you, McVicker, for having me. I think when it comes to the Indian market, I'm of Indian heritage. I played a lot of cricket. My family loves cricket, and our business started in cricket. So perhaps India has excited us the most, but we've also been the most mindful about our entry strategy into India. So whereas we work in 14 countries, we don't do much work in India at all because we didn't want to get it wrong and we wanted to be ready for the right time. I think entering the Indian market is it's perhaps the most exciting time to do business in India, be it Indian entrepreneurs or people from outside looking to do business in India as well. I think the biggest considerations for us, and we're trying to make people more active, play a lot more, and metropolitan cities are changing, and they're very populated, they're very crowded. There's not a lot of sports facilities available. The ones that are very expensive, and we think there's a massive opportunity to disrupt that, to try and make sports more accessible to both people who don't play sport, to try play it for the first time in different environments, in entertainment, but also for people who play regularly to try get them to play more often. India as a country, the consumer now is more active, more health conscious, more sport, more investing more into sports. It's also got higher disposable income and a very big, young population as well. So the opportunities, there's no doubt there's opportunity. I think the biggest consideration for us has been around what's the go-to-market strategy, which is, what's the right model or product mix that will work in India, because it's not a one-size-fits-all everywhere. Right. The second is, what's the real estate strategy, because the biggest barrier, I think, for a location-based business in India is real estate, yeah. And getting that wrong could be colossal. And so, making every decision with a lot of insights and education and taking time to make that decision is really important. And then the third part for us is, what is the, what's the demographic we're trying to target? India has, perhaps the greatest amount of diversity of culture, but also has perhaps every segment, be it the sort of underprivileged to low middle class to upper middle class to the rich. Each of those is markets of their own, which are sufficiently
absolutely.
big. And so where are we positioning ourselves there as well? Because that determines a lot of everything else we do around. So I think those are all the considerations. And so it's not an easy decision. It just needs a lot of consideration.
No, absolutely. And just a few facts I would like to bring to all the panelists here. 67% of India's population is still below 45 years. We just worked on a report. We just launched it, an hour back on the entertainment sector. We also researched and found out that 60% of the spend, of the consumer spend, monthly household spend, has started to be on non-food items now, and entertainment ranks 5th on that, right? So that tells you the opportunity, and from a last 14-year perspective, there has been 146% growth in the consumer household spend overall in India. So that tells you what low base the country was in 15 years back, and that is a humongous opportunity, for be it luxury, be it entertainment, be it any category, right? The other interesting thing, and before and Andrew, probably you can come in now, is that earlier we saw Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore were the obvious choices. They still are, for any newer entrant to come and tap into the Indian market potential. Interestingly, what we are seeing now is, especially in the value and super value segment, they are willing to enter even from a non-metro, these top 3 locations which I just mentioned, and open stores there. They're getting faster traction. The real estate costs are much lower, relatively speaking. You are able to ramp up your brand within that geographical region much faster. You can do test piloting for metro cities, and then you launch into the metro cities. Obviously, that's not true for a higher end of the segment or a luxury segment, but just below premium, which is the value and entry-level premium segment. Interestingly, that is what we have started seeing. Because the population base is huge. Government is working a lot in making these cities grow as well, because there's just been unimaginable population influx in major cities, right? So you have to provide for opportunities in terms of jobs and employment, right? So those could be another way to enter the market, depending upon which part of the positioning ladder, your brand, you would like to set in. So I just wanted to, mention that here. And Andrew, in your experience, since you own this and lead the consulting space within retail, and you work on the market entry strategies globally for your clients, a similar question, how India, or a market as complex and diverse and big like India, what are your learnings have been to your clients, if you can share with the audience today?
Yeah, certainly. So I think I'd reiterate a lot of what has been said already, and in some of the earlier panels about the scale of opportunity in India is obviously huge. We know the numbers. 5th largest consumer market in the world, will be on track to be 3rd by 2026. We do a lot of global research speaking to consumers, and I think what's as exciting to us is not just the scale of the market, but actually the mindset of the consumer. We see the Indian consumer really engaged with sustainability issues, which I think is very interesting from an operator point of view, but also very interested in new and exciting brands and experiences. And I think as the Indian market develops and continues to grow and push forward, what really makes it exciting is how you can engage this customer in new and exciting brands. For a long time, I think India has been catching up with the rest of the world, copying best practice from elsewhere and bringing that into the market. But I think as the market matures and the consumer matures in terms of their wants and their needs, it'll present some really exciting opportunities in terms of growth, in terms of new experiences, and the challenge to the market will be adapting to be able to take opportunity of those different pieces.
Right. Right. Some more data sets I would like to point out here. Our research tells us in the next 5 years, that is by end of 2028, India is expected to see good quality retail real estate supply to the tune of approximately 43 million square feet in top 7 cities. And if I talk about on a national level, including smaller cities also, this number is expected to touch anywhere around 56 million square feet. And I'm talking about top of the line, grade A shopping centers, mixed use developments, which will have retail elements, neighborhood complexes, or maybe not grade A, but of equivalent good quality. You can just say just below a grade A. So that's a humongous amount of retail real estate which the country will see in the next 5 years, and it's 120% more than what the country saw in the last decade. So imagine in half of the time and 120% more the amount of supply which the country will see in the next 5 years. So that, in my opinion, in our opinion, also provides a huge opportunity for all fence sitters, right? Pierre, you will be very interested to know, out of this 43 million square feet, there will be at least 8 centers which will be million square feet and above. 3 of them will be 2 million and probably 2.4 million square feet and above out of the total, the 43 that I spoke about. So imagine those 2 million to 2.4 million square feet centers, and I'm talking only retail, not any other asset class. So in our opinion, what we feel is that a lot of these categories, be it luxury, premium, bridge to luxury, entertainment, entertainment, or location-based entertainment, a lot of these categories will have to come in, coexist, and probably adopt a business strategy which they were not used to of earlier, because that's the only way you can, fill this center. So your thoughts on that?
I feel with all of this development, again, it will be the same. A lot of malls, a lot of brands, same, I would say same brand,
Yeah.
with all my due respect, famous brand. But what makes a difference between luxury is the new luxury means experience. How many brands are equipped to give people an experience, not just a marketing budget?
Customized experience.
One is experience. 2, what is the future of luxury? In my understanding, the trend of luxury is going towards simplicity and purity. The bling is over.
Yeah.
I want the consumer in India to know, don't follow the bling, because in the world, the bling is already over.
The silent luxury.
Yeah, the new trend of luxury, like what we do, for example, in our perfume, is about the purity and simplicity. And that's why I feel luxury and spirituality coexist, because it's about purity and simplicity. And what I hope in all this development of India, people give it the space to experience.
Yeah.
And that's why I have a session in the afternoon. I want people to feel, instead of just being hammered in the media and social media about how great our brand is. Can you feel it?
So how do you think, sorry, I'm just going off tangent. How do you feel, cities such as Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, which are like bursting out on their seams in terms of population, how does one find that peace? So do you feel that, developers and the community should start making very boutique-ish concepts and developments which are very niche, caters to a specific segment, little far off from the maddening crowd, where people can just go, relax in peace, dine in peace, only for the select few. So do you see that
India
emerging?
is the best place for that. Look, our partners who we work with, for example, the shops, they call it Parcos shop.
Yeah.
They are the only shop that they will develop a segment.
Right.
You might have part of the shop, a place that you can come and sit and meditate, and
Right.
then smell the perfume.
Yeah.
Or taste a good coffee, then smell. Means it's all about the experience. Even in the section of what our dear friends are doing for the sport, they are giving people an experience. They're sitting in the pub and they're experiencing that sport movement. I think human being needs now to more connect, more insight.
Right.
And for me, the real luxury means freedom. Freedom that you have a luxury of looking after your inside. And this, for me, is the real luxury. And India is the best place to do that. What we need, little bit, transcend our mind
Yeah.
and more connect through the heart.
So I think it's the opportune time for people to just pause, reflect, right, and experience,
Exactly.
right? And as providers of such experiences, such as you and Ronesh, so probably more and more people need to create those experiences. And it's very interesting what you're saying because another research data set that has thrown up is that the growth in premium fine dining, especially which is very bespoke and customized in F&B, has been humongous in the last decade or so. We have seen organized developers entering into the segment, launching their own platform where they can curate concepts specific to a development just to differentiate themselves with other centers. And now these people are, or some of them, are entering the entertainment side also. So they will be launching their own entertainment centers in their larger retail centers. Again, just to give a very differentiated experience to their target group. Right. Right. Runesh, any thoughts from your global learnings? I know 14 countries you mentioned, and predominantly in West and few in Middle East, and you are with some of your partners also. But any unique learnings? You spoke about customization, but apart from customization, any other unique learnings? Because yours is a very capital-intensive business. With AI coming in, disrupting every second day, and this segment specifically, needs a reboot and a refresh very quickly, right? And it's a very capital-intensive. So, any thoughts on those?
Yeah, definitely. I'm based in San Francisco, and so it's weird that I've been in this conference for 3 talks now, and I have not heard the word AI or machine learning or anything to do with tech as much. Perhaps India is one of those places where it's got the most amazing talent to build great technology. I think Indian culture is very education oriented, but also very science, maths oriented as well. Right. And so I think, the retail sector in India, perhaps it's a little bit of a late mover because maybe not the same challenges as the Western markets where labor costs are very high, people's spending habits are different, and a lot of the retail sector abroad is, struggling in terms of occupancy and trying to drive footfall and dwell time. But in India, because the population is so big and space is so less, I think that's less of a challenge, and so maybe the adoption of AI and tech is less required. Plus, the cost of labor is relatively low as well. So there is, there is massive opportunity to not need to go down that path. But I think as competition increases, as you mentioned, all the different malls that are going to open up, they will be competing for certain sectors of people. They'll want to optimize their businesses. I think labor in India will become slightly more expensive as well.
Yeah.
And especially quality labor. So all those little factors, and consumers will want a far more superior experience. Absolutely. As they start using technology. When the iPhone came out, suddenly everything needed to get more digital all of a sudden. And I think with ChatGPT or similar AI technologies, digital transformation will happen with AI in terms of B2B and perhaps B2C experiences, but physical transformation will happen as well. I think India may be a follower market as opposed to a leader market because of the challenges, the different dynamics of the market. Sure. but 100%, I think, AI and other kinds of technology will follow through in India as well.
The entertainment penetration in organized centers were anywhere around 2.5 to 3% until few years back. Let's say just around pre-COVID, or just before pre-COVID. You will be surprised, as of today, this penetration has gone up to as high as 6.5 to 7%. And as the average size of a center is increasing in India, more people are becoming, experiential oriented, so they're demanding, differentiated experiences. So developers are also understanding that they need, in order to create differentiated experiences, they need larger spaces, right? That's how you build on experience, especially, tangible experience, right? We are anticipating, and not just us, all major stakeholders, this percentage penetration to go as high as, anywhere around 9 to 10%, right? And this will include, I'm only talking about various categories within entertainment, right? And I think as AI and machine learning are coming in, I think the biggest challenge is, or rather will be, how to attract attention of customers, increase dwell time in your places, which there has to be a reason for them to spend more time in your, otherwise they're just browsing through. They're browsing online or they're browsing offline. So what is the time that, you can really, really grab their attention, make them sit in peace, and then communicate with your, experience?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. Our research that we do shows and backs up some of those points you've made. We see the Indian consumer really engaged with social media. I think we see them very much buying more and more online. And so that need for new brands and new experiences is really coming to the fore. And I think a challenge for Indian developers and developers worldwide is to be able to recognize those trends and adapt to them. And it is in part about working with brands and retailers like Pierre and Runesh here to be able to provide a relevant set of concepts and a tenant mix that really meets the needs of that local audience. But I think it's also inherent on the developers to be able to create places that people just want to spend time in. When we speak to Indian consumers, they use retail centres for a much wider range of uses than any other market in the world. Whether it's space to hang out, whether it's an educational place, whether it's somewhere to get access services, spend time with the family, learn about new trends.
Sure.
The Indian consumer engages across all of those different areas. And what the challenge for the market will be is to create provision that is less product driven.
Absolutely.
And is more about those experiences and really making fantastic spaces for people to engage in, not just boxes that are dedicated to different uses and don't really work with each other. So that is what we see as the coming challenge, and one that we hope the Indian developer market really seizes upon.
Sure. Yeah, Runesh. Yeah,
just to add, I think in the West, you mentioned there's 10% given to experiential in India. In the West, I think that ratio may be about 30% or even slightly more. And experiential is not necessarily the best generator of revenue per square foot. It tends to fall behind traditional retail, clothing and apparel, or QSR as well. Your McDonald's will generate more than perhaps an experiential experience. But they are very key differentiators. And I think as the market gets more saturated, I think a lot of real estate developers or mall developers or even any kind of retail developers will have to give it a lot more thought and perhaps adapt their strategies to allow for much more superior, or I would say work with experiential providers to elevate that experience for the guest. Or else what will happen is, and this is some of the consideration we're thinking is, do we need to be able to generate the return from real estate to make the business model more sustainable? Do we need to really just make it a very fast throughput model by changing the experience, by making it less, maybe making it less premium and making it more budget,
accessible,
to try get higher footfall through? Because otherwise the economics don't work for a lot of brands. And we look at the Western world, and there's hundreds of brands that are creating amazing experiences for the guests. And maybe in India, that's still I would say it's a very nascent industry because, the one or two that have struggled in the past, there's one or two that are doing it well, but they've had to create very simple models to be able to scale and be able to scale at speed as well. So I think those would be the key challenges, I would say challenges, but that's where maybe the real estate developers and providers will have to work together to elevate that guest experience.
No, absolutely. I think just last anecdote and point insight rather. I was on a panel with one of the architects, globally renowned architects based in Singapore, and they had worked on a massive center in China. And this gentleman told the panel that 70% of that shopping center, they had made F&B enabled. So they had made provisions for services, for food and beverage outlets, considering that if other categories may not be able to fill them, so which are the other categories within F&B that they can plug and play and differentiate the center. So that's where China is moving. And I think China is also, just like the West, shows you the direction which the world is moving. So I think, just to summarize, I think so experiential is the way to differentiation. And then I think as the industry will grow in India, I think that's where the key is, be it luxury or entertainment or other categories, as Andrew mentioned. So with that, thanks a lot to my panel. I know time's up, so we had a limited time, but thank you so much for all your insights.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mapik. Thank you, Sharad.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Nagpal, for holding the fort for this one. And it's a pleasure having all of you join in. In fact, I'm going to request you to please present a token of appreciation to our wonderful speakers. May I request for the mementos, please? And as we look forward to this segment, requesting for the mementos. Let's hear a round of applause as we thank each of our speakers. Thank you so very much, sir, for joining us. Let us thank Mr. Runish Gutka. Pleasure listening in and hearing your thoughts. Thank you so very much, sir, for joining us. And to thank our moderator, may I please welcome Ms. Reema Punya to join us on stage. Mr. Nagpal, give us an opportunity to thank you as I request Ms. Punya to please do the honors. And I know a lot of you would love to ask questions, keep it engaging. We would too as well. But since we are slightly behind schedule, we'd appreciate if you could take networking to the breaks, the lunch break, and also utilize that time. I also want to invite all of you to join us for all the special segments that we have lined up all through the day. In fact, later today, when we unwind over cocktails and music, it's just going to be time for us to engage. And now I'm about to call a fantastic leader here on stage to take this conversation